Hello, guys. Welcome to our spooky Halloween episode. Today we talk about our biggest fears, McDonald's technology with IBM, and we talk a bit about my bad handwriting, as well as ghosts and other legends of Halloween, and our favorite parts of Halloween. Anyway, on to our episode. Hey guys, welcome to this Halloween episode of Thinking is Infinite with Joe
and John.
And today we're going to be talking about some special topics.
Yeah. And happy Halloween to everybody, right?
Happy Halloween!
Now, Joe, being that this is our special Halloween episode, I want to get your opinion on what's your thoughts about Halloween and what do you like best about Halloween?
Well, first of all, I kind of like how Halloween decorations are actually really cool. I like how people like kind of decorate their houses. They have like these inflatables. They try to make things like scary. Although I feel like haunted houses are a bit weird. Like I feel like you know what I used to love about Halloween? Rise of the Jack-O-Lanterns. The show in like Garden City. They actually canceled it this year again, which bummed me out really bad. But I do like also getting all that candy because I love that.
Joe, one question I've never asked you before, and it's kind of tied into Halloween. Do you believe in ghosts?
I feel like ghosts exist, but I feel like there are kind of like two types of ghosts. I feel like they mainly, they don't really show themselves. They just kind of like float around, you know what I mean? And the only times that they really show themselves are mainly like when they're like bad ghosts, although or like maybe like when they're not supposed to like be in like the world of living. But most of the time I feel like ghosts don't show themselves. They're just kind of around.
So you believe in kind of spirits, you believe they're around, but you don't believe they show themselves. Now, here's the thing. I've personally have never seen a ghost before. Do I think they exist? Maybe. I also think that if they do exist and they've ever tried to spook me, I mean, there could be a line of them doing the river dance in the middle of the night, and I will walk right by them. I'm oblivious to that stuff. Do you know what the river dance is?
I don't even know what that is.
It is this freaky dance that it's like an Irish tradition, and the top of their body doesn't move that much. And the bottom of their body is flailing around like a maniac. But my point is, I'm so oblivious to things sometimes that I will miss it every single time. Now, I do believe that some people have that ability, that innate ability that they can feel spirits and feel the afterlife.
Yeah.
And for that, I wish I had it.
Actually, my dogs actually seem to have that too, because like sometimes what'll happen once in a while, Nova will just like bark randomly, and we don't even know why. She just barks at a random thing. It's not like there's anything under there. You know, nothing like her toys or anything, or she doesn't even want to go back there. She's just barking at random stuff, and it's usually coming from my brother's room, which actually was built by my dead uncle. So I feel like actually it might be a case of like a spirit or something there, and it's kind of something that...
Well, he did love dogs.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something that some people, like people can't really see them that much, except for like people who can have that ability. I don't even know you get it, but something that I
the dogs, I think maybe... I think maybe when your mind is clear and you have the ability to just be in the present, you can possibly see these things, and that's why maybe dogs, maybe babies see them, and you know, you ever see a baby that just starts giggling into the like, you look and then I don't see anything, but they're giggling. What are they giggling about?
Yeah. Speaking of creepy things, there was this I remember that like creepy like Alexa when she had like that evil laugh, you know?
No, I don't.
There was like a creepy Alexa, remember?
I think I did hear about that.
Yeah, it was like she had like this creepy evil laugh, like ha ha ha. So that kind of reminds me of.
That's like creepy technology, though. Yeah. So what other things do you like about Halloween?
I kind of like how you kind of like carve pumpkins, although I wouldn't be very good at it, but I kind of like the jack-o'-lanterns and things.
And of course the candy.
Duh. Cause I just kind of like, I love Reese's, of course. I kind of like, remember the Snickers, all the Halloween candies.
Episode.
Yeah. And, those kind of things, I feel like also like kind of going to like a costume I kind of like. because you get to like be like a scary person, or you can even be like something like a basketball player. Could be ketchup and mustard. They actually have those costumes on Spirit.
Yeah, I think ketchup and mustard's a funny. I like those. See, I like the funny ones. I like funny and creative. I saw one that said serial killer, and it had the kid was wearing a box of cereal on his head.
Oh yeah, that's actually my science teacher, Mr. Mattis. He actually dressed up as a box of cereal, and he had like the Star Wars milk.
See, that's funny. I like creative. I like the funny ones. I like when people dress up like animals and pets and things like that. And I enjoy that part of it. I don't really enjoy the. I'm not a horror film person, so I'm not really into the horror genre.
I've never actually watched a horror film, but I have. I've watched some adult movies. Like I've watched The Breakfast Club. But I haven't watched like a horror film ever in my life.
Yeah, Breakfast Club is that's an '80s movie.
Yeah, I know. We actually had to watch like a clip of it for my one of the programs that I'm in, but that's
30-something years later,
yeah.
And it's interesting because I had to do it for school too, so I guess that's still in a school rotation of a
It's
project.
actually for broadcasting, actually.
Okay.
So I actually have that for we're actually recreating one of the scenes, and I decided to watch the whole movie, and I actually really liked it. But.
It was an interesting movie. It was an interesting movie about different kids from different backgrounds and how they all come together and they become friendly at the very end, right? For the most part.
Yeah, not really horrifying, but it's still something that I just kind of found like I want to talk about. Okay.
Now, speaking of Halloween and ghoulish and scary, my handwriting is pretty bad. And that's why we're going to segue into the next topic, right, Joe?
Handwriting.
Joe wanted to talk about, now every episode we do touch base in our first segment about, special needs, and Joe is on the spectrum. If you haven't listened to previous episodes and now you're learning about Joe, Joe has been fantastic at being able to communicate challenges he's had. And all the episodes we've had previously, we've spoken a little bit about some of the challenges and some of the things that Joe has had to overcome, some of the things he's still overcoming, and some of the things that we're going to look forward for in the future. And Joe wanted to talk a little bit about writing. So, Joe, why don't you tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on actually writing?
Well, writing is something that I've actually struggled with quite a bit. In, like, my earlier years, my writing was bad, like, really bad. I literally, when I go back now, I actually have, like, some of the preschool writing in my closet. I can't even read my own writing. Like, I don't know what I was trying to say in some of them. I literally cannot read it, like, at all. And I've kind of progressively gotten better at that thanks to OT. But it is something that I've actually kind of gone into a bit in, like, not in previous episodes, but, like, I've gone kind of thinking about a bit, but...
Now, one of the things, Joe, I always like to try to bring to any audience or audience member that may be listening that may have a young child, what things have helped you in being able to write? Was it just grabbing the pen correctly? Was it going more slowly? What were those things that maybe put you in a better position to actually write legibly?
First of all, it's going more slowly, because I would write really quickly when I was younger, and you kind of have to go more slowly first before you can write faster. You don't want to write faster first, because then you're just going to get, like, it's not going to be legible, and that's going to be a problem. That would be a problem more later on, because if the teacher can't read your handwriting, that's going to be a problem. And, like, if you can't read your own handwriting, it's also a problem. And also too, it's actually the position of, like, your arm. What I would often do is I would stretch my arm out way too much, and that would interfere with my writing. So I found that if you, like, kind of move your arm along with the paper, you write better.
Okay. So what do you mean by stretching your arm too much?
Like, I would often, like, instead of, like, moving my arm with the paper, my arm would be in the same position as I started in, but I would, like, turn to the right or turn to the left depending on what I was writing. So that would often mess with my handwriting, because, like, at the end of my paper, it would be really bad, and I wouldn't be able to read it.
So in the beginning of the first few letters were legible, and then it got worse as it went along, you said?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's something that I've had to overcome by going to, like, OT, occupational therapy has really helped me with that. It's also another thing is typing. I've actually kind of sometimes struggled with that because of like, having the accuracy on like the keyboard, but I've also gotten better with that. So
yeah, and I noticed a lot of times with kids with special needs, they do have a little more challenges when it comes to their ability to their hand-eye coordination and things like that, which I know is something you've struggled with through the years, because your brain is firing so fast, but your hands and fingers, the typing becomes an issue and writing becomes an issue. One of the things I'm very thankful for this technology. There's some technology I'm very not too thankful for, but this technology I'm very thankful for is the technology of touchscreens and iPads, and they're so helpful in the special needs community. I don't know if you remember, Joe, when you graduated from Little Village School in I think it was North Massapequa, right? It was in. I remember such a touching moment at that ceremony when all the little kids were getting their diplomas for getting out of Little Village. There was one kid that went up there with his iPad and the little button, because he was nonverbal, and he hit the button and said, "Thank you." And it was just the most adorable thing in the world. So I'm really glad that it helps. Things like iPads can certainly help, but there are things like typing that's not going to really go away. I mean, you still have to learn how to type on a computer keyboard or a laptop, or what are the things that has helped you with typing better?
Well, actually, with typing, first of all, what happened is I would go through my ideas like way too quickly. It's something I still kind of struggle with. My ideas go so fast, and my hands cannot match the pace of my ideas. So I end up like typing really quickly, and I've had to kind of slow my pace down. I also would always try to like type like with like this, which has never really helped me. I just type with like 2 or 3 fingers now, which also helps with more accuracy and getting more done. But yeah, because I find like I can't type like like with all 5 fingers on like the keyboard like they tell you to. I just can't type like that, so I just use like 1 or 2, and it always works pretty well.
So you've actually turned yourself into a 1 to 2 finger typer, where I know when I was taught how to type, you had to use your 8 fingers pretty much, and then actually your thumbs.
Your thumbs, which
too,
is
but your 8 fingers are resting on certain keys.
Yeah, right? I would usually, because that's actually what I would struggle with, because I would often put my finger down on a key by accident, and then it would like type that letter, and then I have to like go back, delete things, and then like re-edit them. It was kind of like
I think that some of the things I'm learning as we talk about some of the things you struggle with is that when you think about what a kid like Joseph, and there's so many out there that are like that have to struggle with certain things that many people find extremely easy. A kid like Joe is overcoming that and has to keep his thoughts in his head because he's got to get it out onto, whether it be a computer screen, whether it be a piece of paper. So that's got to be a challenge to constantly have to remember, because your brain is moving so quickly, yet you can't get it on the paper as fast, or you can't get it onto the computer screen as fast.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I still struggle with that even today a bit. Like I said, it's gotten better, but I do still struggle with the idea of, like, my ideas go very quickly. When I come up with an idea, I want to say it right away. It actually still kind of does with, like, conversations and things, too, which I might actually talk about in the future, but, it struggles with my typing because I can't, like I said, it can only really go so quickly. Your hands can only go so quickly, and my brain just comes up with new things at, like, light speed, so I have to, like, catch up to my brain, and my brain has to, like, keep it in my head, and also with my memory problems also makes it a bit harder, because I, kind of have a bit of a hard time, like, remembering certain things, so I'll often lose what I actually came up with, and then I have to, like, rethink it over. So
now, some of the things I think you can do, Joe, is use certain parts of technology to help you, and actually voice record some of your thoughts, and then you can put it down next to the computer and then type it out. If you have a thought in your head, maybe it's best to just speak it right into your phone and just save it, and then be like, okay, if I have thoughts that keep leaving me because my body and my mind are not working fast enough together, maybe that's a suggestion. What do you think about that?
Actually, that actually might be a good idea. Obviously, you can't really do that for, like, tests and things, but you can do it for, like, homework assignments or, like, classwork things. You can probably, that is actually a pretty good idea. I've never really thought about that because I don't use voice recorder that much. I just
and there's also voice to text too. So do you ever think about using that?
Voice to text?
Yeah, they have it on computers.
Once again, I've never really used like audio technology before. Actually, even before this podcast, I haven't really recorded audio that much, except for like a few like Spanish things. But other than that, I haven't really used like voice technology, which actually might help. So
I think it would help enormously for someone like you because you can actually, again, your brain is going 50 miles an hour and your fingers are going 5. And how do you catch that up? How do you bridge that gap? And maybe it's just recording your own voice and then going back and then re-listening to it, and then you can type, you could pause it, you can restart it, pause it. So maybe when you have an assignment that you have to maybe write a whole paragraph and your brain and your hands and your fingers are not working in sync, you could speak it out on and record it and then go back in and type it, and then as you go, you slow down, you stop, you pause, you turn it back on, and then you can do it that way.
Turn it back on, yeah. That actually sounds like a good idea for many autistic kids. Could probably use that pretty well. Tablets, again, like that kind of has, it's good. It's, it is a good piece of technology in certain ways because it has helped many autistic kids, adapt in things because it kind of helps them communicate, and even like now with voice recording, you can also kind of type better, and that's sort of something that has helped a lot.
Yeah, and I know the technologies, and that's the thing, is utilizing the technology for good, and I think that there's certain aspects of technology that I'm not happy about.
Certain aspects that it is.
That is enormously helpful, and I remember when the iPad first came out, I think you were maybe 2 or 3 years old or something like that. And I remember going, oh my God, thank God. Maybe the technology will get to the point where you won't have to be relying on handwriting.
And you were right. That actually did happen.
Yeah, and because I know myself, I struggle. I can speak a little more and I can get more out. But if I had to type something out, if someone asked me to write a paper, it would be awful. Even if I'm typing it, I struggle with that ability. So I could almost feel you, but I really can't because I'm not experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, but I'm experiencing something similar.
Yeah, I feel like some people do just experience those kind of issues, and it does help.
Now, if we could circle back just real quick from the last episode we had on your communication and stuff, have you given it much thought? I mean, last episode, Joe was telling us about how communication and how he was reaching out to a friend and hasn't done it in a while and was still uncertain about what to do and how to reach out again. Since last week, have you given it any thought, or is that something that kind of just fell by the wayside?
Actually, I kind of have. I've given it some thought, but it has kind of fell by the wayside just because I've kind of like had some stuff going on this week. Also, I had like had a lot, like one night in particular, I had like a lot of stuff, and then like I also, not only that, but I also had, like, certain things that were on my mind, like, my brother has, like, his confirmation soon, and, like, things like that are kind of on my mind. Halloween was on my mind, so it's kind of like I haven't had much time to think about it that much, but I have given it some thought, and I think I am probably going to reach out, probably today if preferable.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to reach out. It doesn't hurt just to say, even if you want to just text a hello, and I do maybe sometime we could talk and just see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I feel like that is a good idea. Okay, are we done, or are we going on to our next segment? I think so.
Yes, I think we've talked this subject out pretty well.
Yeah, it's basically, this is pretty long. Okay, so we're on to our next segment.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this segment. And this is the segment where Joe would like to talk about some things that interest him. And I'm hearing this for the first time. He gave me a little bit of a preview to go behind the scenes slightly with Joe and I. Is that, in between podcasts, we will look to try to grow the podcast. And by the way, Joe has started a Facebook page. It's called the Infinite Thinking is Infinite podcast. And he
can actually go and follow that. But
yeah, you can follow that. He also had it built like a month or so ago, and I didn't even realize it. So I forwarded it out to my network, and thankfully people are joining. And So one of the things we do is we talk about previous episodes and we talk about the future episodes and talk about interests, and we try to align a segment, a episode up throughout the week, and we'll go back and forth and text each other and maybe speak a little bit, and we try to get to the subjects. So Joe had come up with this subject, and I'll just throw it to Joe, and let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I actually heard some pretty interesting news recently that McDonald's is partnering with IBM in order to automate their drive-thrus. They're actually going to try to, like, replace human, like, workers with AI, and they're going to try to, like, kind of have like new automated technology. They're also trying to curate the menus to your specific tastes.
How are they doing that?
Well, they actually like they're trying to like do an app on your phone where you like scan it and you like scan the app and it'll like curate the menu to what you've ordered.
Your previous orders, I guess?
Yeah, pretty much. That I've actually heard, I don't even know if that's part of the IBM partnership, but I think that is part of what chains have been trying to do.
That's very interesting, and I you can look at it from two different perspectives. You can look at it from a perspective from a company standpoint, where if they can use automation, they can offer a product at a probably a lesser of a price. But on the negative side, there's a job that may not be used anymore. The person who's taking the drive, who's saying welcome, and you're losing a little bit of the personal touch. Yeah, human interaction. I mean, is that what we're gonna go to? We're gonna go to a society where we just pull up and a robot takes our order. And what do you think about that?
I don't know. I feel like from like I said, like you said, from a company standpoint, it is good, but from like a worker standpoint, it's actually really bad because that leads to a lot of jobs lost, and it also leads to, like you said, the whole human interaction thing. And I also feel like AI, but it is good from a company standpoint because AI is more reliable than human workers. Human workers can kind of do things like, demand higher wages and better pay and things like that. Automation, you don't really have to worry about that as much. So from the company's standpoint, the AI is more reliable and it doesn't,
and one of the things that, artificial intelligence is actually, it is definitely part of the future. And I think the right thing is to strike a balance between
automation and humans
and human interaction. I think that's probably the best way of going about it, but I'm not, some of it scares me a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I actually heard somewhere where companies like social media companies like Facebook and they actually can tell if they want to grab someone's data. They go, I know when this person goes to the bathroom every day. I know when this person eats every day, because here's what they do. All these apps, they track your movements. So they know when you're going out to lunch, they can see where you're stopping along your day, and then they can fit advertising around what you're doing all day. And it's a little bit scary. I know when you when you download an app and you say, okay, a lot of times you're okaying them to listen to your microphone, I mean, so artificial intelligence is it could be good because it could be intuitive.
It could be good or it could be bad.
It could be very bad because they know all your data. They know all your information about
it. And also I feel like the thing is, we need stronger privacy laws because, first of all, when they say like, oh, well, read the terms and conditions. Who reads the terms and conditions? Please, tell me, I want you to find me 5 people who say they've read the terms and conditions, and I'll find you 3 people who are lying, and 2 people who can't even remember what the terms and conditions said. Even if you read the terms, which I actually have a couple times, not even that much, but like, I have a couple times, you can't even remember them. By the time you read the whole section, you're pretty much like, yeah, okay. And not only that, but when you press I agree, people feel like they have no choice. And that if they press disagree, they can't use the app. So they just press agree and reluctantly agree to something that they might not want. And I feel like there should also be an option to disagree to certain features like, collecting data and things like that. You should be able to disagree with that. and still use the site or the app. I feel like that should be an option.
Joe, you rocked my world when you told me that you actually read the terms and conditions of a few times.
only of one site, pretty much, like Google, but that's it. And also the AP College Board, because they actually, you probably want to read that, because I feel like not reading that could, kind of... You don't want to do something that's against the College Board or whatever, but that's pretty much it, because you're probably
the only person in our universe and the podcast universe that may be listening to us that has actually read the terms and conditions. If you have read the terms and conditions, you are on a Facebook page, comment on it, say, I have read the terms and conditions.
Yeah, because, like I said, most people, they don't read it, and even if they do, I've read it. I've read, one time I read, the Google one. I literally forgot about the second after I read it, because there's so many words on the page, and it's very, condensed, so you can't even remember what the terms say, and you just reluctantly just say, oh, okay, I don't really want them to collect my data, but I still want to use this site. I guess I'll just agree, you know what I mean? And that kind of...
You're in a rush. You're trying to open up an app, and all of a sudden it says, oh, here's all the new terms and conditions. All right, fine, here. Okay, move along.
I feel like, first of all, you kind of need to slow down a bit and, kind of take it in, but also I feel like there should be stronger privacy laws, to make sure that people's data aren't just being creepily stalked or whatever.
Question for you about, now we're going to go back to the McDonald's drive-thru.
Yes.
Thing. Do you think with the AI, the mistakes that'll be made on the orders will go up or down?
Maybe down, because, obviously there's going to be still mistakes because robots aren't perfect either, but human workers are mainly being, rushed, and so with the robots doing it, they might be able to do it quicker, and they might be able to do it more accurately than human workers will, because humans can only work so fast, because many times what they'll do is they'll have these,
quotas,
and if, you don't meet, a certain threshold, you're, put in big trouble.
I know they have
time quotas. So I guess bots might be able to fill that better, but it's kind of something that's a bit kind of...
I wonder where I'm very curious where that's going to go. I know that, I know every company is looking for their edge, looking for something to one-up the other company out there, to actually just outdo another company. And I wonder, now, it can go two ways. It can be a positive for this company, and let's just say McDonald's deploys this and tries it out in one store or a few stores where they pilot. They call it a pilot. They pilot in a few stores and then expand it out after that. I'm curious if it's going to be something that's going to be other companies are going to jump on and do, or are they going to back off and let's see how McDonald's does? And that's what usually happens. There's one company that will try something a little out of the ordinary, and every company after that goes, let's see how it works for them. But I'm very interested, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out in the future.
Yeah, me neither. It's something that, only the future knows, but I feel like it might actually become more common, because companies are kind of looking for that. I feel like I kind of am a bit afraid of that, because I feel like there does need to be a balance between human workers and, automation, because automation can improve human workers. It can help them, do their jobs quicker and do certain tasks quicker, but if it tries to replace them too much, then it's not really that great. And if technology was eliminated, it also wouldn't be that great either, because now you're back to the older way of doing things, which was often harder. So overall, I feel like there needs to be a very strict balance set, and so far I feel like that balance isn't really being met. It's more toward automation than human workers, and I feel like that imbalance is something that's either going to have to be dealt with, or is going to grow worse. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And who knows where that'll go.
I'm not sure. I hope that we can find a balance. But you know what I'm finding is as I'm getting older is I just see that everything seems to be going a little too extreme. And I'm not saying it's going to be the end of the world if they have AI at a McDonald's drive-thru and other companies start using AI. But it's certainly going to eliminate jobs. It's certainly going to but then again, a company has to do what they can to survive, and then maybe the burger will be a little less money. I don't know. So I'm not sure how it's all going to play out.
And Yeah, that's kind of something that I've been pretty interested in lately, because I literally, like, heard about this on, like, a Friday morning. I'm like, oh, wow, this is actually really cool. Let me talk about this on the podcast.
Well, let me explain to the podcast audience a little bit about Joe. 6 years ago, he was showing me designs of the folding phone out there, and he kept telling me that there's... Do you remember you were doing this to me?
Yeah.
You were feeding me links and YouTube links and showing
me
photos
that really
of it.
Fascinate me, actually.
And it took a little while.
It did. But
it's here.
It is.
So what I'm telling you, the podcast audience, whoever is listening to this right now, is that when Joe tells me something, it typically comes true. It comes true. So don't be surprised if you see this AI, because he's been in front of a lot of things before I've ever seen them. He knew about the Sephora going into, was it Kohl's? Is that what it was? And just recently I walked into a Kohl's and boom, there was a beautiful Sephora in there, brand new. So you knew about that. You knew about the Galaxy Fold coming out, and there it is. I went to the T-Mobile shop near me, and I saw this beautiful looking monster folding phone. Now,
it's something that's actually pretty fascinating in of itself. But
and here you were 6 years ago. This had to be 6 years ago, Joe. I remember you were showing me, or 5 years ago or something. I remember you were showing me videos of this and saying, "Look, it's coming out, but they're having problems with it." And obviously, they ironed out a lot of their problems, because here it is.
They've kind of had to work through that. But
so when the podcast audience, when Joe starts telling you something, especially about technology, listen, because it's soon to be coming out.
Maybe. I will have to see in the future. Anyway, do we roll around to the next segment? I think we do. Hey guys, welcome to our spooky IRL segment.
Yes, sir.
Today we're going to be talking about our biggest fears.
All right, so, being in the Halloween tradition, obviously there's certain spookiness and certain fears, and people like to be scared, and they like haunted houses and people jumping out at you, and it makes us think about, what do we fear? So I'll let you want me to start, or you want to start with the fears?
I can start.
Okay.
So the fifth one.
Oh, by the way, we're in the Jeep Cherokee studios right now, so if you hear some background noise, that's
because we're in the car. Anyways, the fifth one is probably clowns. Clowns creep me out. I don't know what, it's just something that I've never, liked clowns. Clowns are just very, they're just kind of like a creepy image, you see this random clown jumping out at you, you kind of run and scream. Usually you run and scream.
Now, while you're on clowns, okay, I have a similar fear. It's somewhat the same, but a little different,
okay.
And that is any person and this is why Halloween is not the best day for me. Any person in a costume where I can't recognize you. Now, if I see someone and they walk over to me and they put the costume head on, I'm fine. I know who it is behind there. But if I don't know who's behind there, it freaks me out, Joe. And you know what I think about? I know, I kind of do know why. I was freaked out when I was a little kid, and I was in, I think, SeaWorld with my brother and sister, and there was this guy in a Shamu, or a woman in a Shamu costume or whatever, and was very, rough and grabbing me and stuff like that during a photo, and it was so uncomfortable to me. I'm this little kid, and this Shamu was a big whale, right? What do they call them? A killer whale.
Killer whale.
And this person in there was freaking me out, and everyone's, they're taking pictures on the old Polaroid cameras. But anyway, it always has freaked me out to this day when someone walks up. So now, obviously, with a child coming up on trick-or-treating, doesn't really bother me. I know it's a little kid. But if I see an adult come up and then wearing a costume and I can't figure out who it is, I get this fear in me. It's immediate, and it's existed. It always has. So during Halloween at work and stuff like that, I would hate when someone would come near me and just stare at me. I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I don't know who you are. Please tell me who you are. Don't. You better tell me who you are. And it makes me very, very tense. And I almost want to punch him in the head.
That's actually kind of funny.
All right, go ahead. Number 4.
Number 4 for me is actually the ocean. I am very afraid of being in the ocean and being washed away, in a storm, all of a sudden, when I go in a boat, all of a sudden a storm comes and washes the boat away. I'm very much afraid of that, because I actually cannot swim, and I'm actually pretty pretty afraid that, like, if I go on a boat and, like, a storm comes, I'll just be knocked out of the boat. I'll have to, like, float for my life, and, like, it's something that kind of terrifies me. I don't like the water at all. I kind of stay on land. I'm not someone who goes into the water that often, so that's something that kind of also scares me.
See, now, what my water fear is, and I'm sorry, we've just, in our little IRL segment, we've gone over the roughest little road right now, so bear with us 1 second. Okay, here we go. Now, one of the things I don't like about water, now I can't swim, and I do like, pools. But what freaks me out and what makes me very nervous is if I am ever in the ocean and I don't know what's below my feet, below the water level.
Oh, yeah.
And especially if something like, at least a piece of seaweed floats by, it freaks me the heck out. I can't stand it. So I am in agreement with the ocean thing. I do not like the ocean. Pools I'm a little more okay with because I can see the bottom. I can see what's going on down there. But when I can't see what's going on down there, it freaks me out too. So why don't you go on with number 3, right?
Just something pretty interesting. Number 3 is probably tornadoes. Tornadoes is something that I'm actually pretty afraid of. I don't really like the whole idea of a tornado. It's like it's very strong. It's very destructive, and it's kind of something that does kind of freak me out a bit. But luckily there aren't that many tornadoes near here. But it's something that I've kind of had like a little bit of a fear, like going out into like that's why I probably don't want to live in like the Midwest or whatever, or like the area that's like Nebraska or Texas or whatever, because I do not like tornadoes.
Well, the thing about tornadoes is they're not here, and then they're viciously intense, and then they're gone again. So yeah. I could see that being a very big fear. All right, number 2.
Yeah, number 2 is probably gunfire. Gunfire is pretty scary. Like, imagine, like, you hear like gunfire in the distance or like something like that. I feel like that is a big fear for me. I like hearing like gunfire all of a sudden and having to like kind of defend myself. It's something that I'm kind of afraid of.
Well, I know where you're not moving when you get older. Chicago.
Yeah, that's not the best city. Nor is Detroit. Detroit's also known for that too. But yeah, all this like kind of like gunfire, things like that. That does kind of like scare me a bit, and it's something that's pretty scary. And the number 1 fear, probably for me, is probably what have I not covered? Oh yeah, fire. Like large fires, not like small fires. Small fires I can handle, but like huge wildfires, like the ones that like go absolutely like, those huge, massive fires. And it's something that I've actually, that's why I actually don't want to go to California, because they have these massive wildfires, and I don't really feel like being burned to a crisp. So
fires are definitely a fear of yours.
Well, more like wildfires, but still.
Well, I can tell you this. My biggest fear, by far, and I don't think you have it, Joe, is heights.
Oh, no, I don't have that. But...
Oh, my God. Now, Joe, if you want to see some funny videos, because it would be totally me, they have this video that I've seen online, and it freaks me out, is when there's a bridge, a walking bridge going across a very high bridge, okay? So if you fall off this thing, you're done. And the walking bridge is made of glass. Have you ever seen that? And people are freaking out, screaming as they're walking because all they see is the ground underneath them. It is the scariest thing. To me, I can't even watch it without having a complete panic attack. I can't.
Glass, that sounds pretty unstable. Like, glass can just break. Like, it's something that why would they build a bridge out of glass? Like, can't you use, like, metal or something?
If you ever have a moment, we'll YouTube that. It is hilarious. It's funny, but as I'm watching and going, that would be me. If I was one of those, I'd be screaming my head off, too. I can't believe how scary
I'm actually not even afraid of heights, but, like, that actually does sound kind of scary because, like I said, it's made of a fragile material that could easily break. So, like, not very good idea to go on if you're heavy. If you're a heavy person, don't go on the bridge. If you're going on that bridge, you gotta make sure that you're pretty light.
Down.
First of all, don't jump up and down, but also make sure that you're light so that you don't fall off the bridge, because that does not sound like a fun time.
So there we did our 5 worst fears. Now, Joe, now it is Halloween, and in the last episode, Joe talked to me about some of his favorite Halloween candies. And as a little bit of a surprise, I got you a Reese's Fast Break. King size.
Thanks.
Don't open it yet. It's still a little early in the morning.
Yeah, I know, but
and then we found a regular Reese's peanut butter cup.
Ooh,
and last but not least, I actually found a whole bag of Starburst all pink.
Oh my God! I didn't even know these existed.
I
didn't know these existed.
Those are for you.
Thank you.
I know you like the pink and the red, but at least we have the pink there for you.
Actually, I didn't even know that these were a thing. I didn't know that they made these. My guess is that they realized that people like the pink ones better, so they just said, yeah, we'll just make it all pink. Or at least one that's all pink. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome. And you know what? Share them with your brothers if you'd like.
A good idea.
On this Halloween. And speaking of sharing, what do you think about... Should people share the show if they like it?
Yeah, people should share the show if they like it, and just share the Facebook page too, because we want people that do this in the future and do follow our show in the future to see the Facebook page. So that is something that people should do.
And you know what? I've gotten a lot of text messages about how when people are enjoying the show. What would be amazing is if you go to the top right corner. I'm not the top right corner, but if you're on the Apple Podcasts and it says write a review. Write a review. If you can write the things that have been told to me, that would be amazing. We're a little low on the reviews. We don't have a lot of reviews, but we do have the ratings have been fantastic.
Yeah, the ratings have been really good, but I feel like, if you write a review, it's always a good thing because they can help us improve, Reviews are always good. They help people get better and they help them grow. So make sure to write a review if you do enjoy our show. And even if you don't kind of like some things about it, what don't you like? And we can try to fix those problems. So, that concludes our podcast.
And to everyone out there, have a fun and spooky Halloween.
Have a spooky Halloween.
And enjoy.
Bye. And that concludes our spooky Halloween episode. And just make sure to tune in every week, because we will have a new episode each week. See you next Saturday.